Tyson Fury announced he's fighting Ruiz in July. Now, what does that tell you, dude? It means Francis wasn't even in the conversation for a boxing match against Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury was supposed to fight Usyk, and that fell through, and then they did Ruiz. No one is asking for that, dude. No one is asking for that, which means Francis was not even in the conversation, okay? And I cannot, I realize like I'm acting as though I am talking to Francis and he's ignoring me. I know he's not seeing these videos. I totally understand that. But this is how it feels to me. It's like I'm talking, it's like I feel like I'm saying things that are so obvious, which is like, you can't do this without a team, dude. All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to talk about Sergei Pavlovich, and you guys may remember him from such things as, not starching, but knocking out Curtis Razor Blaydes last night in the first round, bringing his consecutive first round stoppages to, I believe, 6 in a row. First round, 5 or 6 in a row. And I'm mad, dude. I am extraordinarily unhappy with this, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because I did want him to win. I did want him to win by first round knockout. And yet I find myself infuriated for one reason in particular that I'm going to share with you guys in a second, and I'll give you a hint. Okay? That's my hint. This is the only action figure that I've ever owned, and or certainly as an adult, and that's Francis Ngannou. That's his action figure, you know. So it's a hint of where this is going. And then I want to point something else out that we should all be very excited about, but we should also be infuriated about, okay? Because we have now 3 utter murder machines in the heavyweight division that always stop their guys early in the fights, except one of them is not in the UFC right now. I just showed you that. And then we have a different guy who is the heavyweight champion, who is saying he's only going to fight once, and it's not against any of these guys. And that's also not really why I'm infuriated. So we're going to talk about all of that. Hopefully I can think of a clever way to title this video, because this is one of those videos that's like, you know, I think I'm like, man, what's a clever title? I don't know. And so I might not be able to get people to watch it. However, this is an important video because this is like, we need to talk about this stuff, man. And anyway, so before we get into it, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I appreciate you guys doing that. I'm just going to hit that really quick. I appreciate you guys. I don't want to bother you with it too much, but subscribe if you haven't yet. All right, so let's just remind ourselves of who Sergei Pavlovich is. He's the guy who shared this meme on Twitter, okay? And if you guys don't remember, there was some kind of language barrier because he clearly didn't understand 260 pounds of white power. Not something you put on your Twitter account, which is hilarious. Dick bigger than the Titanic, also hilarious. Scared Ngannou away, not true, but hilarious. Best heavyweight boxer in UFC, also not true, but funny. Could invade and conquer Scotland in 3 days, hilarious. NATO's worst nightmare, that's hilarious. Russian as fuck, obviously, that's just accurate. Huge genitals, almost, I mean, without having seen them, and I don't need to verify that, that's a fact. It wasn't an iceberg. He sunk the Titanic. Discovered the cure for AIDS and refuses to tell the government. Yeah. Kills black people, Derek Lewis. Jesus, man. Yeah, he shared this. Soloed the continent of Africa. He actually shared this. USA pulls out of Afghanistan when Pavlovich arrived. All right, so you get it. He shared this, which is hilarious. Okay. Now, here's the deal. Here is why I am upset, specifically. I'm going to go through a couple things with you guys. And first, we're going to start with his. So we're going to go with Sergei Pavlovich's recent record. Okay? So, number 1, we have Curtis Blaydes, first round knockout. You guys just saw that. Right before that, we had Tai Tuivasa, first round knockout. 54 seconds. Right before that, Derek Lewis, first round knockout, 55 seconds. Do you guys remember anybody else? You know, anybody else who people just couldn't last 1 minute with? Anybody else who might be in the prime of their career where it might be really interesting to see them fight each other? You know, like where, you know, the guy before that, Shamil, he knocked him out in 4 minutes. Guy before that, he knocked him out in 2 minutes. Guy before that, he knocked him out 1 minute and 6 seconds. You guys remember that? Right? Then he lost in the first round to Alistair Overeem in 2018, so 5 years ago. That's his last loss, and that was Alistair Overeem, who was still pretty nasty back then, actually really nasty. And before that, he won again by first round knockout, but this was before the UFC, okay? So this is what we're looking at for the last 5 years. This guy has not gotten out of the first round in 5 years, okay? 5 years. Now, is that exciting? Yes, it's exciting. Is it infuriating that we don't get to see him fight this guy? Yes, infuriating. And guess what? I've got more things that are going to be infuriating when you start to think about them, okay? Like this is infuriating on its own. It's not the most infuriating thing if you really think about it. So let's just go over just because, oh wait, why is it that infuriating, Jesse on Fire? Why are you so mad about it? Well, here's Francis's, right? Now, this Cyril Gahn one right here, 5-round decision. He had a torn MCL. Torn MCL. So just take that one off the board. Before that, Stipe almost knocked him out in the first, starched him, and this knockout. This is not like the Sergei Pavlovich knockout. This was, Stipe didn't wake up for 7 minutes, starched unconscious. Okay, at the beginning of the second round. Rosenstreich, you guys may remember this, 22nd knockout right before that. Oh, Junior Dos Santos, wow, he did good. He lasted over a minute and 11 seconds. Done. And before that, Kane, did pretty good, lasted 26 seconds. Okay, and Curtis Blaydes lasted 45 seconds. Okay. Now, before that, let's just go before, because then, you have this thing where he went into the Stipe fight overconfident, didn't know that he needed to know how to wrestle, and he got kind of, wrestle fucked. Then he came into this Derek Lewis fight, very, very mind fucked from the last one. So just take those two out of it. And what was going on before that? Oh, right. More of this. So before that, Alistair Overeem starched in 1 minute and 42 seconds. Andrei Arlovsky starched in 1 minute and 32 seconds. Oh, before that, Anthony Hamilton. He did good. He lasted almost 2 minutes. Okay, Bohan Mikhailovich knocked out in 90 seconds. Okay, Curtis Blaydes knocked out in 2 rounds. Dude over here knocked out in the second. Okay, we don't get to see these two guys fight each other. This is the real heavyweight champion. We don't get to see these two guys fight each other. We don't get to see that. And again, this is not even the most infuriating part, if you can believe that. Okay. It is actually very infuriating, but it's not the most infuriating part. Now, think about this. Who's this? Oh, this is Tom Aspinall, another, really hot heavyweight prospect. So he obviously got injured against Curtis Blaydes, so just pull that off the board. Let's see what he's been doing. So Volkov, he submitted him in 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Spivak, knockout, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Andrei Arlovsky submitted in two rounds. Wow. Arlovsky lasted through the first round. Good for him. No one else did. Badeau, minute and 35 seconds. Jake Collier lasts 45 seconds. Michael Ben Humada lasts less than a minute. Subeng, we're in Cage Warriors here, but nonetheless, all first round knockouts. Okay? All first round knockouts. So we have two guys who are murder machines, both Sergei Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall, who are absolute sheer power killing machines that are a different puzzle to solve, and we don't get to see Francis fight either of them. Okay? Neither of them. And here is where we get to the part that is really infuriating, okay? Jon Jones is the heavyweight champion, okay? Very exciting moment for the UFC in terms of like, oh, we got a big name, we got a big name heavyweight champion. Nice. And so what are we going to do with him? Well, let's have him fight a 40-year-old Stipe Miocic, and then he's going to retire. Wait, what? Yeah, we'll just have him retire after that. I mean, not it's their choice, but John is going to retire. So he goes up, he wins the title off of a very, 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 very favorable matchup to him, which is Cyril Gahn. And there are 3 incredible fights for Jon Jones. 3, not 1. Stipe is not that interesting to me compared to these ones. Okay. So you have Jon Jones is the heavyweight title holder, and you could have him fight Sergei Pavlovich, Tom Aspinall, or the big one, Francis Ngannou, and he's going to fight none of them. None of them. He's not going to fight any of them. He's going to fight Stipe. He's going to beat Stipe. Stipe's going to retire. Jon's going to retire. We're going to have a vacant heavyweight title shot, which is probably going to be Aspinall against Sergey. And Francis is going to be doing whatever Francis is doing. As opposed to, Francis comes back. He fights against Jon Jones, right? We get that incredible fight. Or you could even do Jon Jones against Stipe, and Francis comes back and fights the winner, right? And then whoever wins that will fight either Stipe, or will fight either Sergey. Well, we'll fight Sergey. And then you got Tom Aspinall coming back, right? So we have Jon Jones versus Francis, Jon Jones versus Stipe. You get Sergey versus, Tom Aspinall. You get Tom Aspinall against Francis. You get Tom Aspinall against Jon Jones. You get Sergey against Jon Jones. Sergey against, Francis. Sergey against Tom Aspinall. And we're not going to get any of those. We're going to get none of those. Because we're going to pull Jon Jones and Francis off the board. We get none of those. We get none of those fights. None of them. Like at the beginning, I'm like kind of half joking that I'm infuriated. But the more I think about it, the less I'm joking. I'm mad, dude. I want those fucking fights. I want Francis to come back. I want him to fight these guys. I want Jon Jones to please Jon. I'm not mad. Just please don't retire. Please. Please don't retire. Fight these guys. If you beat these guys, I mean, the GOAT conversation is already over anyway, but like, don't you want to see if you could beat these fucking guys? These young buck heavyweights that are starching everybody? Sergey, I mean, look, we're going to do a little bit of a film study here too, okay? We're going to look at what the Weasel pointed out. So the Weasel was, was talking about how, let me just see real quick.
And the takedowns were, this shoot,
look at how
that far out.
How he throws all of his punches
from the opponent as she got them caught. Curtis Blaydes drops his levels and feints like he's probably going to go for a takedown. That triggers Sergei Pavlovich's uppercut, which means that Sergey knew that the takedown was potentially going to come. That's why he threw the uppercut, and he threw it long.
Okay, it's like a weird, calling that an uppercut is kind of weird too. But that's kind of the main point. I mean, like, I don't want to step on this too much, let the Weasel do his own talking here. But like the majority of what he's talking about here is that Sergei Pavlovich gets caught a lot. He's getting caught.
First. But not only does Sergey have lunch boxes for hands, but the guy has an iron chin. He took Tai Tuivasa's right overhand flush to the chin, and now he took multiple of Curtis Blaydes' right hands to the chin as well.
You know whose right hand he's not taking? Francis's. But we'll never get to find out, right?
None of it is phasing this guy. He is one of the scariest powerhouses we've ever seen in the heavyweight division. He has the power, the speed, the durability, and with all of that together, he is a technical brawler. You cannot trade hands with this guy.
Francis can.
Blaydes should have definitely turned this more into an MMA fight right away. No feeling out on the feet, immediately mixing his striking with takedowns, and take Ivan Drago out of his element. Now, really interesting about Sergey's defense was he didn't really put up a guard. He didn't do much of that stuff. He was actually using his reach in order to pulse on the opponent.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about his defense is, and then we'll show let's just take a look at this picture. That is interesting defense. You're not lying, dude. You are not lying. He's doing the straight arm zombie
to get away from their punches, and Curtis Blaydes is a long reach, right?
Now, okay, look, I am a big Sergey fan. I'm not mad. I'm not trying to talk about his defense. I'm saying I think Francis starches him. Is kind of my point. I think Francis will starch him if they fight, but nonetheless. Okay, so let me go back. I'm sorry. What the Weasel's point was that Sergey throws all of his punches from the same place, which is his hip, okay? From his hip. So the knockout, the punch that he got hit with, he's saying that it ended up being an uppercut. It looks like an overhand because he drops it down and then it ended up being an uppercut. It's not even really an uppercut. He threw like a cross. Like he came from here and then he came up and then boom, he's throwing a cross. This is an uppercut, dude. Boom, uppercut. Throwing from here and then turning it over. That's just a cross that you started from your hook, from your hip. But nonetheless, the point is he's saying like he throws his overhand, starts in the same place, throws his uppercut-ish, whatever you want to call it, from the same place, throws a cross from the same place. But he drops his hands. He drops his hands. Yeah, it's hard to identify, but he drops his hands. So there are big gaps in his defense, and you just saw the straight arm, the zombie defense. So like my point is this guy's hittable. Okay, the idea that this guy's going to knock everyone out in the first round is ridiculous. Does Curtis Blaydes have ruthless first round knockout power? Of course not. Does Francis? Fuck yes. Does Tom Aspinall? Fuck yes. So give me those two fights, because Sergey obviously has the power to knock anybody out, but his defense, you know what I mean? Put him in there with a puncher who could starch him with one shot, like, I don't know, this guy, you know? Put him in there with Tom Aspinall. Let's see how he does. I want to see that fight, you know, see how the zombie defense does against guys like that. So, and again, I'm a Pavlovich fan. I'm not talking shit. I'm saying I want those fucking fights, dude. I want those fights bad. It's infuriating to even think about. It really is, dude. Like, to know that Francis is kind of floating out in the ether, considering an offer from ONE FC. Come on, dude. Nobody wanted, nobody wanted Francis to get this cash more than me, okay? Nobody wanted Francis to get this cash more than me. See, that says motion picture only. I'm just showing you it's not real. But, look, dude, like, just please, I wanted him to go get the cash, and I wanted him to be back in the UFC. Like, Dana's saying he can't come back. Come on, dude, please. Francis, just say you're sorry, please. Please. Just say you're sorry. I want to see these fights. And then you can start talking shit to Jon Jones. Also, Sergey, okay, you know what? Let me go back. Okay. What is Francis's value on the open market? What is Francis's value on the open market? It's that he is the UFC heavyweight champion. Last night, Sergei Pavlovich just established himself as the number one contender by knocking the 6th consecutive guy out in the first round. Now, you would think that someone who understood that their brand value is that they are the heavyweight champion of the UFC, you would think that they would know that right now is when you tweet something out specifically pointing out that you're the heavyweight champion, and no matter what anybody says, that doesn't change. It doesn't matter who they starch, unless they fought you, they're not the heavyweight champion. They're contender, zippity fucking doodah, dude. You haven't beat me. You fought nobody like me. I'm the champion. Fuck Jon Jones. Fuck all these. It's just like Conor McGregor. Look at what he does. Every time there's a major fight, he tweets out about it. He goes, oh, Kamaru Usman, I'd beat the shit out of him. Oh, Canelo Alvarez, I'd beat the shit out of him. Oh, Anderson Silva, I'd beat the shit out of him. Why do you think he does that? It's to stay relevant. It's like, this is why if you're not Conor, you need a team. You need a fucking team. You need a team. This is common sense. You need a team. To not have tweeted anything out after this fight last night is absurd. It's absurd. And also, you had Tank versus Garcia last night. The biggest boxing match of the year. You're trying to get a boxing fight, and you tweeted nothing about that either. Like, I don't understand. Does he not have friends? Like, even if he doesn't have management, is like no one friendly? Like, someone that is talking to Francis, do the guy a favor and just explain the shit to him. I'm frustrated because I'm a massive Francis fan. I want him to win. I want him to do well. I am frustrated because these are common sense moves that are not happening, and I'm available to help. I love Francis, dude. I love his story. I love watching him fight. I am super excited every time I watch him fight. The idea of not getting to see him fight these guys is horrifying to me. But him not getting to fight anyone is more horrifying. If he ended up not getting a boxing match and he ends up not coming back to UFC, that's like, given what this guy's been through, it's a fucking catastrophe. It's an unacceptable outcome, dude. He has to get someone just tell him to say he's sorry to Dana. I mean, please. Unless you guys know something I don't know, and that he's going to get a boxing match, because I forgot the other thing. Tyson Fury announced he's fighting Ruiz in July. Now, what does that tell you, dude? It means Francis wasn't even in the conversation for a boxing match against Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury was supposed to fight Usyk, and that fell through, and then they did Ruiz. No one is asking for that, dude. No one is asking for that, which means Francis was not even in the conversation, okay? And I cannot, I realize like I'm acting as though I am talking to Francis and he's ignoring me. I know he's not seeing these videos. I totally understand that. But this is how it feels to me. It's like I'm talking, it's like I feel like I'm saying things that are so obvious, which is like, you can't do this without a fucking team, dude. If the fact that Tyson Fury just announced that he's fighting Ruiz in July did not indicate that you need a management team, then I don't know what. Well, at that point, I start going, okay, like, I mean, actually, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say maybe he deserves a bad outcome. I don't think that. I think he deserves a great outcome. But he needs to recognize you cannot do this without a team. You just lost. That Tyson Fury fight was yours. The first go at it. It shouldn't have even been Usyk. It should have been fucking Francis. If he would have had a team in place, he probably would have gotten it. The fact that the backup fighter wasn't even Francis is like, Jesus, man. It's free money. Like, I'm not saying you can't win, but it's free money to Tyson Fury. You think Tyson Fury is even entertaining the idea that Francis could beat him in a boxing match? Of course he's not. So, like, if you would have been in the mix, it's literally like, hey, Tyson, do you want to take a fucking risk-free $35 million, $50 million payday? Yeah, I do. He wouldn't even have to fucking train for that. Anyway, that's what I got. I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Peace.